Alright guys, welcome back to another deck profile video. Now today is a little bit more fun of a leader. I haven't taken it fully seriously just yet, only because I haven't done enough testing, but this is essentially where I'm at right now. The leader I am talking about is Supreme Kai of Time, a leader that has been lost in time, no pun intended. And honestly, I find it a lot to be fun. If I wanted to play black, I think this is the leader that I personally wanted to play with, now that I have access to thwartings. And for this deck, I feel like you need them a lot, because not only do they are pretty damn good aggro, they also help fill the drop area, which is pretty good with this deck. And so essentially what the leader does is burst 3 auto. When this card attacks, draw a card. So you already had 3 cards in the drop area, so now that just opens up to so many cheap overwhelms that can be very oppressive. And her awaken is when you're at 4 life, or if you have 8 cards in the warp, draw 2 cards, flip it over, take until 6 life. And right here on this side, we definitely do a lot. It's like a whole dictionary right here. So when you overwhelm, essentially what you get to do is you get to draw a card, place 3 cards from the warp to the drop area, and that just helps fill it up so much. I like the consistency that she has with overwhelming. Unfortunately, this does get very countered against blue, because all you gotta do is a God Sealing, and it just gets straight back to hand. Overwhelm didn't really play, so you don't get that effect off, so just be wary of that. And tap 1 black energy, discard a card. If you don't have a Demigod Unison, which is mainly the only Unison that we're playing, you get to choose one from the warp or drop area, play with a marker on it. Now this is great because now, not only do we get a card in the drop area, which may not be intentional sometimes, we now have a Unison back that can help us overwhelm much more. And now, with her final effect, is active main. Once per turn, essentially you get to crit a life and place 2 cards from the warp to the drop area. Now it's up to 2, you don't have to do exactly 2. And essentially all the cards that were played using Overwhelm get to stay on field. Now this is great because now you can apply a lot of pressure with these really cheap and aggro type of cards and some defensive options too. So this is great to have. Now, since that's the leader, we're going to go over with the deck. Now I did say I haven't done enough testing with this, so this is a little bit of a draft 2 version. There was a draft 1, it was way worse, but I think this one I'm a little bit more comfortable with, but there could definitely be more work. So take this as a base idea. So with our Unison, like I said, we're running 4 Demigods. Essentially what you do is burst 1 when you overwhelm, he gains Wormhole. Pretty self-explanatory, helps out a lot with the deck. Just overwhelming in general, this is actually pretty good. I'm going to plan to get full SPRs. They are rather cheap right now, but I think over time they will go up in price because overwhelming might get better. +1, choose up to 2 black paddle cards from your warp, putting in the drop area. Very easy. And that is -3, which I've never really done, but it is an option to do. Active main, add up to 2 black battle cards with the energy cost of 7 or less with overwhelm skills back to your hand. Now this is great because you can get back the wardings, you can get back some good searchers, you can get back some good stuff. Now, but like I said, I never done it because he does not stay on field much long. He's a 9k and he just gets aggro down very easily. That's why Unison has so much recovery, because we all know that this is not going to stay on field. That's our Unison. For our draws, we have Trunks, Time Regulator. When you play him using Overwhelm, essentially you get to draw 2 cards, choose a card from your hand, send it to the warp. Pretty basic, very good card, 15k beat stick. And the next card we have for searching or just getting cards to our hand in general is Time's Choice, Supreme Kai of Time. Essentially, when you play her using Overwhelm, you get to look up to the top 3 cards of your deck, choose a black battle card, add it to your hand, and you place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. These are pretty good. This can get you the cards that you need to see, whether it's just good drawing or it's just searching for a specific battle card that you can use for aggro, like you can search for thwarting, overwhelm with thwarting, and just do much with that. So I like this little combo right here. I like having him by my side. Next, so for some overwhelms, we have Secret Identity, very self-explanatory, good removal, 6 or less, just get him out of there. You can play him again, which is great with Wormhole if they have a lot of weenies. Overwhelm, get rid of them. That's up to 12 costs, just removal. We have Gravy, refill the drop area, very self-explanatory again. Yeah, not much to say about him. I like him at 2. Sometimes you don't really, it's good to have him, but sometimes you really don't need him, so I think 2 is a comfy number for me. We run 3 Trunks, Thwarting the Dark Empire. Now this card you want to see turn 1. Essentially what it is, it's an Overwhelm 2, double strike. When you play him and your leader is Supreme Kai, you get to choose 2 cards from the top of your deck, place it in your warp, draw a card. So this is very good because you're bursting 3 off a leader. Play him out. That's a double striker that just got 2 more cards in your warp, and you draw a card very closer to bring you to Awakening, and it just helps out a lot. Pretty good aggro early on too. We run 1 Faf, might bump this up to 2, but Faf is just a great card to push in with after especially doing all the double strikes. So that's super good. I like this card a lot. I run 2 Man on a Missions, double strike crits, very good early aggro, just a great card in general. I might swap 1 out for a Faf, or maybe just bump Faf up to 2 along with this guy. We'll see. We run 3 Revived Ravager Vegeta. Now, you can want to see him on turn 3 too. This actually helps out a lot. He just doesn't give you a draw, but essentially when you overwhelm him, he's a 15k crit, and when you play him, send the top 3 cards from your deck to the drop area. Not only does this refill it for some cheap overwhelms, but if you have Demigra on the field, play him, put some cards in there. Demigra activates, Kai activates, fill up the drop area, overwhelm for another big boy. So he's a pretty good setup. I like him. We run, for our fusion targets, we have 4 Beyond All Limit Gokus. Overwhelm him, get a 7 or less from your warp. Very easy. I run 2 SS4 Sun Goku Thwarting the Dark Empire. This is for the defense. You tap 1 over on him, you draw a card, swing at whatever, take a life. He restands at the end of the turn, and he just did 30k blocker. Those can actually be pretty good in this day and age where you need some big defense, and he could just be the guy who gets you that. I run 2 SS4 Vegetas Thwarting the Dark Empire. He's like a secret identity, but now it's a 30k crit, and it's 4 or less to warp, which is still pretty good. This is pretty annoying to deal with sometimes, so it's definitely just great to have, especially for a fusion target. And we also run 2 SS4 Vegeta Fanged Greetings. Now, essentially, I like this guy more than this one just because he's free, and he makes your opponent ditch a card. I might do some testing where I have 4 of these guys instead of just these 2 and these 2. But I like this little balance out. Some aggro and some removal is good. And now with those targets in the way, we have SS3 Gogeta Thwarting the Dark Empire. Y'all know what this card does, but just in case if you don't, I'll explain it to you. For tap 1 for fusion, or tap 1 for an overwhelm 6, he comes out, he's a double strike 25k body, and when he swings, essentially what you get to do is you get to warp a card on field and just annoying turn 1 pressure. If you can, I'm pretty sure you can get a turn 1, it's not that hard. But this is a great card to have. This is just aggro in so many decks. People splash black in so many decks just so that they can play this card, and I don't blame them. Also, when you union, you can choose 2 targets from your warp and put the targets in the drop area. So now that refills your drop area for an overwhelm, and that's just great, honestly. Like, that just helps out a lot. He is unique, which is good, because that balances him out. If he could have multiple of these guys on the field, this game would be in hell right now. So, very good package to have right there. Not really much of a package, but just a good card to have in this deck. And for our technical secret rare, we run Trunks, Power Overseeing Time. This card's really good because we do burst a lot, and we do get rid of a lot of cards. So if we need a specific card that just got milled, he can bring it back. A secret rare, thwarting, a super combo, whatever it may be, he'll get it back. So that's really good. And he's a double strike 20k body. I like this card a lot. We only run 1. Now, for our extra cards or more of our defense, I run 2 Ultimate Minus Energy Powerball. It's just great since we have the Demigra Unison most of the time. We can activate the counter for free, which helps out a lot because this deck, I'm trying to make this as free 99 as possible. As you can see, a lot of the expensive overwhelms aren't in this deck just because I'm trying to do free aggro. And it may be a little bit weird because we don't have much choices, but that's the way I'm trying to build it, and that's the way I'm trying to get comfy with it. Especially with a good active battle like that, where it gains 15k, I like it. But yeah, this helps out a lot. This is also really good removal. Ignoring Barrier is fantastic in this meta. There are a lot of annoying cards that we can just get rid of. Super combos, little bit of a bad choice, but I have the non-hollow Vegeta super combos. The super combos aren't the bad choice. It's that I don't have them hollow. I gotta get that fixed, but very generic. Super combo. These are also thwarting targets with cards that are coming up soon, which I'm sure you know. But this is a great card. I kind of find myself milling them out most of the time, which is very unfortunate. I run 1 Brainwash No More. Very simple. Tap a black. Crit a life. and then you won't take any more damage for the battle. This is just a precaution just in case you're hitting us with a big triple strike or maybe even a quadruple strike from the Cell Secret. Just do that. Take only 1 life instead. Pretty good card to have a 1 of. I run 2 Goku negates. Negate, play this card. Fusion target, very cheap negate. I run 2 Kai negates. You choose a card, gets warped. Very good for 1. That's fantastic. I love this card. Just make sure to follow the costs and make sure that you and your opponent have 3 cards in the warp, or else this won't go off properly. But still, great card to have. I run 1 Petrification just because if there's a pesky, annoying big body on the field that's going for a game, kind of like Brainwashed, tap 1, pitch a card, ignoring barrier, negate its effects. So that's a very great card. This is a good card to have a 1 of. Just keep it around. You never know what might come out. 3 Power Bursts. Definitely gonna swap these out for those new black negates that are basically testing the ops, but black, where you would take a life and play out a blocker. So I'm definitely going to swap those out when those come out. But for now, we're playing with Power Burst. Most of you know this. Negate at a 1-drop from your warp or your drop area. We don't really run a lot of 1-drops, so this is just kind of just filler. Just a free negate. Like I said, I'm trying to make this free as possible. So, you got to have them in there. I run 1 Dark Mask King. This can be our game ender. So essentially, you would tap 4. If your opponent has 3 or more cards in the warp, you get to play him out. Auto once per turn when he swings, he places 2 of their battle cards, puts them in the warp, and if there's 10 or more cards in the warp, he restands. And he's a triple strike with deflect, 25k, pretty good. And when they activate a counter with the battle against this card, they burn a life. So that's fucking amazing. This is just a really good game ender, just enough aggro pressure to do, because you can tap 4 to bring him out, swing, let's say they're going to negate it or just do something, they burn, he can possibly restand if they didn't get removed, do that again. Now the auto is a once per turn, so it won't happen again, but you can then follow up with free overwhelms just to apply way more pressure. This guy is fantastic. I love this card at 1. I'm thinking about running the other Dark Kings from Vicious, or Supreme was it, and just apply more pressure that just comes out really for cheap, in a sense. This is our only expensive guy. And for a secret rare, we play a Robaloo, Demigris Secretary. Very simplistic. Tap 2, Dark Overwhelm 8. She's a double striker, 40k body. If I have 4 or more energy, when she's played with a Dark Overwhelm, I get to choose 2 battle cards in my warp, and I get to, with energy cost of 6 or less, and I get to play them out. Now that is fantastic because she brought back Thwarting, she brought back a Faf, she brought back just any good Overwhelm cards that you can play out just for 2 energy. Unfortunately, she does not have Deflect, and she's removed for the battlefield, she's removed from the game. Now, she lacks the defense, but she makes it up with the aggression that she applies. And her second auto is actually pretty good too, pretty good defense that Kai can need. Essentially, when your opponent attacks, you choose one of your cards that's have an Overwhelm keyword, you get rid of it, and the attack is negated. Now this is great because Kai can keep the Overwhelm cards on field, so you can play her, Overwhelm again, so those are just more Overwhelm targets. And I think this also includes her. I don't think it is because Overwhelm and Dark Overwhelm are different, but either way, you're overwhelming from Kai, you're going to overwhelm with her, and then you just have 3 Overwhelm bodies, possibly more if you kept them on board from previous turns. And that's just a bunch of negates, bunch of just good defense. So this card's great for the deck. I would run Pan. I actually might start running Pan with this, but it's really just a matter of testing. I'm still waiting for Pan in the mail, so that's just a good card to have around, especially with the archetype. And that's really it for the deck. Now, like I said, this does need more testing. For my preference, I want to make it as free as possible. I'll pay energy for negates and for some other cards here and there, but with this deck, I think the best way to run it is for more free cards. But like I said, just a matter of testing. Take this as a base, maybe make something out of it. You know, everyone has their own different preferences, everyone has their different styles, so really just take it with a grain of salt, essentially. And yeah, that's really it for the deck. Some of you have been asking for some launch tips and all that, so I do plan to record some battles, record some videos going over launch, because I basically main launch. She's my red-green baby, and you know, I get some dubs with her, and I love the deck. So I'll probably take the time to make a video about launch to explain just the introduction of her. and I think it'll be really fun if I did that. So keep an eye out for those videos. Keep an eye out for more unboxings, because that Mythic set is coming out soon in America, and that new Dragon Ball Maid set looks fantastic. So thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and hopefully it'll be about launch.